Hi there. So I'm going to talk to you guys about Eubulides' heap. And if you see right there, I made you guys a cute little heap of a bunch of words that says Eubulides' heap. Some background to Eubulides. He is from a place called Miletus, and he was actually a contemporary of Aristotle. And he didn't like Aristotle very much and wrote and talked very bitterly of him. And Eubulides is mostly known for the paradoxes that he made. Just to name a few of the puzzles that Eubulides made, these were the liar paradox, the hooded man paradox, the elusive man, the horned man, the bald man, and the heap, and I know there are other ones as well. But we are going to focus on the last two that I just listed here, the bald man and the heap. Of the two, we will start with the bald man paradox. In the bald man paradox, Eubulides asks, so how many hairs does a person need to be bald? Or how many hairs does a person have to lack to be bald? Eubulides says, does having one hair on your head make you bald? Does having two hairs make you bald? What about three hairs? If someone says, yes, having one hair makes a person bald, and Eubulides asks, well, you say that a person with one hair is bald. What if we added one more hair? Are they still bald? And they say, yes, they're still bald. And then we could go on and say, so man with one hair, we add one more hair. What if we add one more hair to that? Are they still bald? If the person says yes, then they have no room to complain. If we said a person with 1,000 hairs is bald, or 10,000 hairs is bald, since we just keep adding single hairs to that original one hair that made someone bald. This bald man paradox is what we would call, excuse my pronunciation if I'm saying it wrong, but a phallocross. The next one is the heap paradox, and this is what this whole video is about, the heap. It's pretty much the same as the bald man paradox. In this paradox, Eubulides asks, how many grains of rice makes a heap? And is it possible that 1,000 grains of rice does not make a heap? Like the bald man paradox, we can ask, does 1 grain of rice make a heap? I'm assuming a lot of people would say no. Does 2 grains of rice make a heap? Maybe not. 3? Maybe someone will say yes. But if we say that 1 grain is not a heap, then, like the bald man paradox, then we would probably say that in addition to that not heap of 1 grain of rice, if we add 1 more grain of rice to that, then we would probably say that it's still not a heap. So eventually, if we keep adding grains of rice to this not heap, we can't really raise a fuss when we have 10,000 grains of rice, if we have 1,000 grains of rice, and we can't say that it's a heap because we kept saying that adding 1 more grain of rice to this not heap is still not a heap. So why would 1,000 grains of rice or 10,000 grains of rice actually make a heap if we kept saying that adding to this not heap still doesn't make a heap? And this paradox is called the Sorites paradox. This paradox and the bald man paradox are also known as little by little arguments, because as you can see, we kept adding something or subtracting something little by little until we got to a point that eventually someone would say, wait, no, stop, that's not what I meant, let's go back. But nopes, no takesies backsies on this one. Eubulides' heap sort of resembles the millet seed paradox that Zeno created a century before. And this is the same Zeno who did the arrow paradox and the things like Achilles and the tortoise. If you guys are familiar with that, it is the same man. In this millet seed paradox, Zeno says that if you drop a millet seed, then it won't make a sound. If you drop a single millet seed, it won't make a sound. But if you drop a bushel of 1,000 millet seeds, then it will make a sound. The point of this paradox is 1,000 nothings makes a sound, so isn't that supposed to be absurd because 1,000 nothings shouldn't really be a thing? So as you can see, Eubylides might have used this as inspiration for his heap paradox and just added this little by little argument style in his own paradox. So we have a grasp on what the heap paradox is about, but do we really know what the point of these paradoxes were? Well, we actually really don't know. Some philosophers say that these paradoxes were used to maybe disprove the coherence of philosophical concepts, the law of non-contradiction, law of excluded middle, pluralism, Aristotle's theory of infinity, or Aristotle's theory of the mean. And the last two do make sense because in the beginning, remember I said that Eubylides was really not that fond of Aristotle. Or perhaps he just really liked puzzles and playing games, so maybe he was just doing them for funsies. Examples of people who use these sort of paradoxes is Eubylides' student, Diodorus. He used this type of paradox in his own creation when he was talking about things that were absolutely and by predominance. So we could talk about someone who has gray hair. We could say that someone is gray-headed because they are completely gray-haired, like all their hairs on their heads are gray. Or we can say that they're gray-headed because the majority of the hairs on their head are gray. Another person who utilized this type of paradox was Carneades, and he did this to go against the Stoic belief of gods. In Carneades' example, he says that if Zeus is a god, Poseidon too, being his brother, will be a god. But if Poseidon, the sea, is a god, the river Achelous too will be a god. And if the Achelous is, so is the Nile. If the Nile is, so are all rivers. If all rivers are, streams too would be gods. If streams were, torrents would be. But streams are not. Therefore Zeus is not a god either. But if there were gods, Zeus too would be a god. Therefore there are no gods. So as you can see, Carneades starts at a very high level by saying that Zeus is a god, and it was common belief that Zeus is a god. Then he uses his little by little argumentative style by displacing it in very small chunks by saying Zeus is a god, Poseidon is the brother of Zeus, so Poseidon is the sea, and then he keeps going down to smaller bodies of water, but we can agree that streams aren't gods, so how can we say that gods exist? Carneades' example of Eubylides' heap leads us to ideas that don't really have boundaries, and things that are boundaryless can be considered vague. How do we know the threshold in which something becomes a god or doesn't become a god? How do we know that Poseidon is a god and he's also the sea? So why can't another body of water, the Nile, be a god? Another boundaryless concept is baldness. What is the threshold of someone being actually bald, and what is the threshold of someone being completely not bald? So I have my lovely roommate and best friend here, Alex Hezek, aka Pookie Butt, and she's going to help me decipher what is bald and what is not bald. So Alex, who would you say is just like completely bald?
Howie Mandel, definitely.
So Howie Mandel, he kind of resembles Mr. Clean, and he's pretty bald. Like, he has a soul patch, but we're going to say that the hair placement is proper to being bald, and we're going to say that not having hair on your head is what being bald is. So who would you say is, like, definitely not bald?
Ian Robinson is definitely not bald.
So Ian Robinson is definitely not bald, and, like, he has really crazy good hair, like, doesn't he?
Yeah, like, it's like, I don't even understand how he gets it up in the morning.
He is definitely not bald. He has a lot of luscious hair, but we can say that there are some people kind of in between of not being bald and being bald. So, Pookie Butt, who would you say is, like, in between being bald and not being bald?
I would have to go with Donald Trump on this one.
Yeah, so, okay, yeah, Donald Trump, if you guys, I'm sure you guys have seen him before, he has a crazy comb over, and it's obviously that he has a receding hairline. So would you say that people having patches of hair missing, like my cat Kabu, who has alopecia on her stomach, would you say that she's bald?
That she has a bald stomach, yes.
She has a bald stomach. So she has a bald tum-tum, but would you say that Kabu is like overall bald?
No.
No, so she's not overall bald. So, like, if we keep going like this, like, I have this weird bald spot thing on my head where my hair grows, so would you consider me bald?
No.
So you have an idea of who is actually bald, because we said Howie Mandel is bald, and you have an idea of who's not completely bald, well, not bald at all, and you said Ian Robinson, but do you, like, can you tell me a person who is, like, the threshold of being bald and not being bald?
I think it's pretty vague.
So, there you have it. Pookie Butt said it was vague, so it has to be vague. But anyway, going back, it's not vague just because Alex said it's vague. It's vague because this idea of what is bald and what is not bald, we don't understand the threshold of what decides what is in the boundary of bald and what is in the boundary of not bald. So the problem with presenting these kind of vague predicates is that a lot of people will fall prey to Eubulides' heap. Unless you're Pookie Butt, because she just told me that it's vague because she told me it was vague, so apparently she's always right. So there you have it, guys. That's all I have for you about Eubulides' heap. If you have any questions, we can discuss it in class, and I guess you know where to find me if you have any other questions about anything, like my not bald cat but has a bald patch on her stomach because she has alopecia, and I'll actually include a picture of that for you guys at the very end because I know you guys are all dying to see.
She take my money when I'm in need. Yes, she's a trifling friend indeed. Oh, she's a gold digger way over town that digs on me. She give me money.
Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke niggas. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke niggas. Get down, girl, gon' head, get down. Get down, girl, gon' head, get down. Get down, girl, gon' head, get down. Get down, girl, gon' head. Cutie the bomb, met her at a beauty salon with a baby Louis.